those are the matches that we know we're going to get at SummerSlam. When looking at the matches that quite possibly could be put on there, Monday Night Raw, we had Adam Pearce talking with Dom and Judgment Day in the back. Dom had his medical clearance that he is still injured. He's not going to be able to wrestle. I don't know. At first, I thought that they were saying that Dom was dealing with a broken heart because of the fact that Liv Morgan was not going to be there. I don't know if he has an actual injury, like to his shoulder, his elbow, his arm. I don't know what doctor note he keeps getting, but Adam Pearce basically said that he is going to be reevaluated. And, once it's basically said that he is able to wrestle, he is going to make Dom versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. That match is basically already out there. You should already be putting up the match graphic. That match is coming down. We have 2 weeks. Even if he's able to get clearance next week, is he going to get a clearance next week? We had the funny spot of AJ praying up to the heavens, and then basically when Dom tried to pray for the opposite, he was just praying against Dom praying. We haven't seen comical funny AJ since TNA trying to be Ric Flair in Fortune, and I don't even think that was supposed to be funny. I think he was actually trying to get that character over. And because it was so different than what we all knew AJ Styles could be, I know that Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, all those good actors back in the day, they played parts that they were really not that person. They're just good actors. AJ, to me, we could all tell that he was not that dude back in the day, but just coming out there and just trying to be funny. I'm sure there was something along the way, with him and the Good Brothers in 2016. I know that the we beat up John Cena thing kind of got over, and that wasn't funny. Maybe they did something funny, but just like trying to make us laugh. I didn't think the glasses thing was the best thing, but I think he's gotten this. I'm watching you. I think he's really gotten that over. If they do a title change or not, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not the biggest contract talk guy, but they said that AJ signed a 1-year deal. It might be his last deal. Is him becoming Intercontinental Champion the big moment that's kind of going to end his career that he rides out on, I guess you could say. Monday Night Raw. We've got the Intercontinental Championship. We've talked a little bit about this match earlier, but we had the 3-way just a little bit ago, and then once that was said and done, on Monday Night Raw, we had Lyra Valkyria going up against Bayley. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match. Easily was the best match of the night on Raw. But I'll tell you the truth. This match is going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. I am done with Lyra versus Becky. The matches aren't bad. It just seems like we've seen this forever. And I think it's really cool. I'm not sure if WWE is using Becky to try and get the Intercontinental Championship over since they lost. They launched these belts. It's been hard for them to get traction on because they launched these new belts and then they just didn't use them. There's no house shows. There's no way to get these belts over other than putting them on TV, and they left them off for so long. Or I don't know if it's Becky trying to get Lyra Damn. I don't know if it's Becky trying to get Lyra Valkyria over, and that's why they keep running this match to death. But Becky has gotten the win in the last 2 the matches. Lyra has to get the win at SummerSlam, and they need to put this feud to end. Becky Lynch, in my opinion, I don't even know why she's messing around with this Intercontinental Championship. She's, won the Royal Rumble. She's main evented WrestleMania. She's been champion this time over. There was a time period around WrestleMania 5. Becky Lynch was the most over person there was in the company altogether. I mean that's the only way to do it. I remember the run-in between Becky and John Cena on SmackDown, where John Cena even called Becky Lynch the man, and showed her respect that way. I don't know how you do it, but I mean it can't be that hard. Becky Lynch needs to be in made feuds, but then again, we might be at a point where Becky Lynch is wrestling for her own reason. It's not like, you know, she's married to Seth Rollins. They're not, you know, dying to pay the bills. She just wants to go out there and do something that she cares about. So maybe she just pointed at Lyra and was like, hey, I want her to have as good a career I had, and if it takes, you know, me dropping down to have a feud with her to start off her career, I think she's all for it. I mean, I didn't think that when she lost that cage match to Liv Morgan that she was going to be on so damn long, but she's wrestling royalty to the point where people, you know, really care about her. So I got Lyra winning the Intercontinental Championship back. I don't really know what night that's going to be, but I think that's going to be one of the matches on there. Naomi pretty much won the weekend of WWE Evolution. She had the match against Jade, and then she came back and she cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase during the Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky match, turning it into a three-way. You know, she basically nailed Io, taking her out of the match with the briefcase, just right to the face. Went in there, hit the big move on Rhea, and surprise, surprise, you know, she walked out with the champion. She called her shot. You know, and people kept on thinking because she was on SmackDown, she was going to go after Tiffany. And, you know, she's just basically said that she was done with SmackDown. You know, SmackDown's possibly becoming a lot better of a show. They're going to be moving now to 2 hours. I believe this, I don't think many people watched the 4th of July episode. So I think it's going to be this episode of SmackDown. We're going to go to 2 hours, and I think it's going to be one of the first shows that people really notice the change. And I think 2 hours is really going to pick up the pace. You're possibly going to notice that a lot of superstars sort of fall off. Might get to a point when, you know, some superstars that you really like might get released, and they're not going to be there anymore. But I think it's going to make for things in the better. But in this match, Rhea Ripley, the last few months, has really been fighting an inner battle with herself. Since leaving the Judgment Day, she's been like she still wears the dark. She's the black. She's the purple. She's like the Undertaker of the past of like 94. But when you're watching her in the ring, she has heel tendencies. I don't know how to put it almost any other way. Where it seems like she wants to go to back to the days of the Judgment Day when she was already the biggest and baddest. She was a lot like Gunther, but you know, she would do an opportunity to get an advantage. You know, she would do something like that. And I think this quest for her to get back the championship might turn her heel to the point where she kind of like drives herself crazy to get it back. Io Sky, I've gotten a lot of respect for. I had to eat my words. Basically, there was a time period when I didn't watch as much wrestling. And I remember when they said that Rhea was going to fight Io on Raw for the championship after Elimination Chamber, I was like, why are they hyping this up like a main event? Isn't Io Sky like a walkover? Isn't she just like the last one on the roster? That's honestly what I thought of her. I didn't know she was a former NXT champion. I didn't know about her time in Lucha Underground. I didn't know, she was a former champion on the main roster. I just didn't know. The chick's good. I think this match is going to come together really well. I'm surprised that they would do a three-way, but I think they're playing off of Evolution. With Naomi breaking up their singles match, I think the only fair thing for them to do is put all three of them in the match again. But then you think about the buildup of the match with Jade with Rhea and Bianca. Oh, by the way, is Bianca on SmackDown now? Is that why she was the ref of that match? And did pretty much her and Naomi like switch sides? Or no, wait a minute. Bianca always was on. No, I don't know. But fuck it. Bianca, she's on SmackDown now, I guess. For being that special guest referee. But I'm going to take Naomi to get the win here. I think they're going to get her over as champion. And she might not have the longest run in the world, but I think her reign is at least going to last one major pay-per-view along the way. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I just got off of work. Day kind of sucked. That's the only comment that I kind of have about that one. But SmackDown this week, we got a big match for SummerSlam. SummerSlam is honestly fitting together, looking like a really, really good card. I've said a few times that SummerSlam kind of scares me because of the fact that it is a 2-day event. And I think it's the first SummerSlam to do that. Now, they've sort of showed that they're able to do it with WrestleMania, and they're able to build 2 stable cards, and we don't have to sit around for 8-9 hours waiting for a pay-per-view to finish. They can kind of give it to us in a 3-hour event. It's up to you if you want to watch the 2-hour pre-show, if you want to watch the 1-hour post-show. You can get it from there. But we have for the United States Championship, Solo Sikoa is going to be defending against Jacob Fatu, but not in a regular match. We basically saw with Solo stealing the United States Championship match at Night of Champions by just having strength and numbers. He's having 3 guys on the outside. Jacob Fatu is kind of like the one-man warrior, standing all by himself. I'm sure that if he wanted to recruit some of his family, maybe, a Jimmy Uso, a Jey Uso, maybe even Roman Reigns would want to be standing tall with him. But there's a lot of news about Jacob Fatu looks like he might be somebody that WWE is trying to put a lot of stock behind and really push to being a top star in the foreseeable future, saying that Jacob Fatu as well as Rhea Ripley are the stars that they can see themselves building around in the future, being the forefront main event guys, knowing that they have a future in this company. They're not going through the performance center looking for the next big star. They kind of feel like they're kind of sitting pretty right now. They're always going to be building, but they're not desperate, I guess is the way to say. Jacob Fatu, if he stands alone, I can tell you the angle that they run on SmackDown. I guess they ran on SmackDown. I apologize. After I said it, I thought I was going to let it slide, but then I just kept on thinking about it. But with the cops, with them trying to get Jacob Fatu arrested, kind of using his record against him. And then having it turn around and, bite Solo Sikoa in the butt. It did remind me a lot of Vince McMahon as well as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Back in the good old days when Vince was always trying to get, Stone Cold arrested. I believe it was in the Garden, is when the cops came in and cuffed him, dragged him all the way out. I can remember the other time when, Stone Cold Steve Austin was sitting down in his truck waiting to get a hold of Vince McMahon, and Vince was doing everything he could to make sure that Stone Cold didn't come into the arena, for Stone Cold to drag Vince to the middle of the ring, tell him he was going to shoot him in the head, sitting there holding the gun. Vince made a promise to the USA Network there would be no more guns in wrestling after the Brian Pillman, Stone Cold Steve Austin incident. And the same exact guy that was in the last gun angle is holding a gun up to Vince's head, and then he pulls the trigger, and out comes the bang thing, and it was like a Tweety and Sylvester kind of cartoony gimmick there. But Jacob Fatu is one bad mother, and I wonder if they wouldn't have really split up the bloodline, and Roman went on his hiatus and this, that, and the other. Would Jacob Fatu even be a guy that's in WWE? they had all the time in the world. I don't know if it was Jacob didn't want to sign with WWE because he didn't want to move to Orlando and do the whole Performance Center deal, but he was going to Miami and like wrestling for MLW all the time. He was one of the main guys there. He was also doing a lot of West Coast stuff, but I believe he lives out here. But I don't know. Was Jacob Fatu somebody that was on their radar that they wanted to sign, or they brought in just to kind of be the muscle, for the Bloodline group, and then they kind of thought that when the storyline was over, he would just kind of fade away. And now here they are saying that they want to, put this guy up in bright lights. Solo Sikoa, he's got Tongaleo, he's got the Hikaleo, and then he's got the what the heck is that guy's name? It's JC Manu. I think that's what it is. We'll just call him Jeff Cobb, without fear of people calling us marks or something like that for calling their non-WWE televised name. They might as well just come out and start calling the guy Jeff Cobb. I mean, the first time that Michael Cole saw him, that's what he said his name was, and all of a sudden it just magically changed the next time we saw him wrestling on SmackDown. But I think that this SummerSlam match, we're going to see Jacob Fatu get his championship back in the steel cage. I understand that the thought of the steel cage match is keeping, people out of the match, so it is a one-on-one affair between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. But we've seen many instances of the heels hitting the ring and basically getting into the door, and then they lock the door. And they can turn this into a 4-on-1 ordeal, as even if Jimmy Uso comes out to try and make the save. If Jey Uso wants to come down and try and help out, that the heels are just able to, hit them as they try to climb up over, and they're just knocking them down, and there's no way of getting in there to help them. Solo Sikoa should get hits. I mean, honestly, that's just the best way there is to do it. Where they go with the MFTs, I'm not really quite sure, but I think SummerSlam needs to be a moment of Jacob Fatu winning that championship, holding it high, and going on a reign that we're honestly proud of. If they do really have plans of pushing him to the heavens, if he's going to be a guy that goes out and has matches against Gunther or Seth Rollins in the foreseeable future, whoever's going to be holding that World Heavyweight Championship belt or a WWE title. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's one reason why you have him lose this match and then just leave the United States title in the dust. But if I had bettor's money and I was throwing it down on a wrestling bet, I honestly think Jacob Fatu's winning this belt. I think he's winning this match, and it's off to the races from here. Fatu for the win. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today on a Saturday. Went out today, went to the card show, came home to kind of like recharge the batteries before heading over to SmackDown. Was cruising around, and I ended up watching that Briscoe Brothers doc that's on AEW's. I think they made it with the Athletic Tribune. I thought it was going to be about the Briscoe Brothers, and although I've seen a few documentaries that ROH made about the Briscoes, I thought it kind of was going to be like that, even though it was only like 20 minutes. It gave us like a brief story of them like growing up and getting into the wrestling business. Quickly shifted into Jay dying in the car crash, and like the kids, what they went through to like get back to where they are, and like kind of like getting it back together, of them being a family and being all together. I think I probably cried for 15 of the 20 minutes. No joke, dude. Sad story, sad doc. Honestly, would recommend anybody go out there and see it. Whoever watched the Briscoe Brothers wrestle, whether if it was AEW, whether it was ROH, whether
you saw him anywhere else. This is like it's a damn good watch, even though it's not really about wrestling. But we're gonna have a street fight at SummerSlam, main event. They've signed the deal of the SmackDown. John Cena going up against Cody Rhodes. I don't think this really changes much of anything. I'm calling it a street fight, but are they trying to like hide the fact that it's going to be like a no disqualification, that there's going to be like some sort of like outside interference? Are we looking to something with like Braun and Bronson and Seth, you know, being involved? I don't know. Is it going to turn into a WrestleMania 40 affair? Much like, I think it was the end of Night of Champions, the Punk match, where everybody came running out. Penta got involved. Sami Zayn was out there. I mean, is that kind of what they're doing? I don't think so. But I'm falling for what everybody else is doing shortly before the contract signing on SmackDown. When Cody Rhodes came out, he posted a picture of him wearing a watch. People are saying that's the same watch that The Rock was wearing the last time that we saw him in WWE. Then like we see him wearing these glasses that are a lot like the glasses that The Rock was wearing the night that he showed up on Raw. I believe it was the debut episode of Raw where like The Rock magically became a babyface. I think he even wore him when he showed up on NXT the next night. But are they hinting that The Rock is coming back? I mean, honestly, I've talked about this 1,000 times. Like, I know The Rock is on the board. The Rock's going to be able to show up whenever he wants to show up. The last time that he showed up was the Elimination Chamber. He said that he wasn't even supposed to be there, but he did it because somebody higher than him in TKO said they needed help selling tickets for the Elimination Chamber. We've had a lot of events for WWE, and they're selling a lot of tickets. They're charging a lot of money. There's been other shows that haven't been sellouts. Why did they ask The Rock to show up in Toronto and not ask The Rock to show up anywhere else? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but there's going to come a day when The Rock is in WWE again, whether if he needs to be, whether they want him to be. Until the day we see him out there, I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for the Rock versus Roman WrestleMania 42 match. I'm not falling for Rock versus Cody finally happening. That guy is on his own schedule, good way or bad way. I'm trying to make it negative, but I also like really completely understand why he's not a full-time dude in WWE, because there's other ventures out there. He was doing TV, he's doing movies, he's got skincare lines, tattoo lines, Terramana, whatever the heck, tequila. He'll do just about anything. He's not really on the same line of like Shaq making commercials for just about everybody, but are they playing off on Cody's interview at the Fanatics Fest, basically saying that he thinks that the babyface version of Cody Rhodes in WWE is coming to an end? They feel like he's done just about everything. And I mean, Cody was one hell of a heel when he was in Impact. He was in the Bullet Club, and you can like make your own claim whether you think the Bullet Club are baby faces or if they were heels. You know, he's played both sides of the coin. When he was in WWE playing a heel, he wasn't really turned up the same way, and he really wasn't pushed the same way. So you can't say that Cody doesn't work in WWE as a heel because of what, you know, he did in the past when he was wearing like the dashing face guard kind of deal. This is different. But I don't know. I mean, like, it would be one hell of a day if they did some sort of like a double turn where The Rock says Cena sucks as the champion and slams the door and basically makes it where Cody is now the heel that is backed by The Rock, and The Rock's the guy that he always wanted. What storyline they would tell if it's just Cody wants the championship back that bad, and he knows that if he accepts The Rock's offer, Rock's going to make sure that he's champion. That doesn't make any sense because, like, yeah, he lost at WrestleMania 41, but he made sure his team won at Money in the Bank. He knows he can beat Cena. He knows that on a fair playground, like one-on-one, if they fight, he's going to win. If he turns heel, to me, that kind of seems like he doesn't believe in himself. And that's just a bad day. I mean, that sucks. But we got August 2nd. I think we've got 2 editions of Monday Night Raw. On SmackDown, we got 2 more matches. 2 that we knew of. I guessed them in my live stream that I did on Tuesday, talking about SummerSlam. I guessed it was going to be Charlotte and I almost called her Alicia Fox. Alexa Bliss going up against the Judgment Day for the titles. It's just going to be one-on-one this time, unlike at Evolution where they did the 4-way. And then Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu for the United States title. This time, steel cage. Hopefully keeping out My Family Tree, the MFTs. But you never know. I've seen some steel cage matches where it's just basically all the heels get in there. They beat the hell out of the babyface. And no one can come in to make the save because they lock the door and nobody can get over the top. They just keep on getting hit as they climb the cage. So we'll have to see. I don't believe anything that I said today. Like, I don't think that we're going to see The Rock. I don't think that we're going to see heel Cody. I don't know. But I don't even know how those items show up on Cody's wrist and Cody's face. Like, did The Rock, like, put him on a private jet and fly him over? And, like, there's no people. It's just they flew down the glasses and a watch. And he was wearing a ring in the picture. I didn't recognize the ring, if that was a Rock ring or if that was Cody's own wedding ring or whatever it is. I just didn't recognize it. I don't even think I looked at it clear enough. But it's one of the things to make the story even bigger than it really is. So we'll see what goes down. Monday Night Raw tomorrow. We just had Cena get laid out by Cody on SmackDown. So I don't think we're going to get him on Raw. But at least we got 2 more SmackDowns. Maybe we'll see the story there. So SummerSlam. Cena versus Cody. One hell of a night. Let's go.